If you notice, the control here kind of does its own little type of bounce, like it's taking it with him. Frame 42, we'll key that since that's zeroed. Frame 41, key that, 44 sorry, key that because it's zeroed. We won't need any squash and stretch at this point because it's lost pretty much its momentum. And now that we've keyed the essentials for this, now the squash and stretch happens. This is where the magic begins. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select both of these, click and shift click the other one, and to make it a quicker version of selecting these and keying them, I'm going to select this. This is basically making a quick select tool. What I done was literally essentially clicked on the script editor, which is here at the bottom right, and looked at my last two my two commands that I just done, which was select this one and this one. So now that I've selected the last two orders that I've done, I middle mouse drag them into here. Once you middle mouse drag them into here, you could do it from here or from here, but I middle mouse drag it onto, sorry, I left click, I already done it, yeah. So I middle mouse dragged it onto there, so now when I click that, they're automatically selected. Now, at this point, there's no squash and stretch happening, so I'm going to bring it down to this one. So I know now that this is going to squash quite a bit, or stretch, sorry, quite a bit. Now I'm going to select these, hit S to select it, since it's only we're working with a translate Y. So now we've got the squash happening here. Okay. Now I want to bring this up to, remember press F to zoom in, just to make sure you can see exactly what's going on, and hit S. So now we have our first stretch and our first contact. Well, what we'll do is squash this a lot more since it's practically hitting it. So we'll select S, and what I tend to do, this is just my workflow when I'm doing stuff, I tend to use the more than and less than to shift between the keys and hit S to make sure everything is keyed. Now move into frame 14, I know that these are going to be zeroed out and I can hit S, but I know that this frame is going to be stretched because it's literally just coming straight off the ground from that. So I'm going to zero these out and I'm going to stretch this one. Select them, key that, so now I'm going to do that for the rest. Remember, F to zoom. Select both them controls again, key. This key. Gonna be a bit stretched. Key that. And then at this point it's going to be zeroed out. Hit S. I know that this frame is going to stretch a little bit. Key both of them. This is going to be zeroed. but then this is going to squash. Did I add the squash for this? No, I didn't. I can't believe I didn't even add the squash. So, looking at the squash from the previous frame, I want to make sure it's not as much as that because it's gradually losing energy. So, press S, go back to this one, bring this to 0, bring this, it's already on 0, so bring this down a little bit, so both of them hit S, 0 them out, hit S, and make it stretch just a little bit, S, 331, 0 them out. Okay. So we have, Now I'm going to add the tiniest amount of stretch, because the last amount of stretch I'll be adding. Select S, go to this guy, 0 them out, hit S, doesn't need to, maybe it can squash a tiny bit, hit S, but now they are going to be 0'd out on this frame. Okay, now let's select the motion trail and hit 0 on the visibility. Now we'll go to show and hit the NURBS and curves, and now we'll just do a quick play blast. Okay, you notice the thing that's different with this is that I didn't rotate it to the point where it wasn't going all the way around. I rotated this for itself going up and down. As you can see through these keys, it stays slanted, but then it comes back to the same position of straight that it was here. It doesn't necessarily turn as a rotation. So what we're going to have to do now, we're going to have to 0 that out. We're going to have to break the connection. So now that there's literally no other keys on this, if I go in here, the only keys are literally the rotate Y and rotate Z. So now going back to that left view, if I press play now, you notice that there's literally nothing going on with that rotate. So now we're going to do the same thing as a normal rotate. We're going to have it follow. So we'll have it from 0. We'll right click that, key select it, go to frame 44. Have it roll a few times, 360, and through this point we can generally see what exactly is happening. You can notice that it's not really shifting in between here and here. Like at this point we want it to be moving here. So now at this point we're just going to eye it in. We're going to select the auto key option here, because I'm literally going to be moving it and moving the more than and less than. So from here I'll selected it there. Now turn it this way a little bit. That way. Doesn't really matter which way it faces, I guess. And I'm literally just going through this by eye. Okay. Now we have our basic bouncing ball. You know, it could still be polished a lot more. I was having a few complications with the rig, but overall it seems to be a good standing point for the bouncing ball. Obviously with more time and more care it would look a lot better, but I recommend maybe looking at other ball rigs as well as this rig that I've mentioned on Creative Crash, and definitely test them before moving on to anything else, before you're doing any other extreme ball assignments, whether it's an obstacle course or defining different weights of the balls, whether it's heavy or light. Just make sure you're testing it beforehand and making sure that every control can work to its fullest. And this has been Creative Technology Tutorials. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. Bye bye.